All right, so if you've been paying attention at all in the last several months, you've seen a lot of hip hop lists come up, some of the best albums, some of the best artists from Complex, Rolling Stone, a few other sources. And if you've paid attention to those at all, you know they're absolutely terrible. Quite honestly, every time I see one of these lists, I have no idea who's reviewing these things because some of the picks that they have, some of the rankings that they have on these are just absolutely asinine to me. But I did find one that I actually like, so we're going to go through this one today. This list is the top 25 rap groups, meaning more than 2 members, so not a duo. This is going to be 3 or more members. The top 25 groups that are out there. And this list was made by beatsrhymeslist.com, which is a great website. They have a lot of good rankings. I haven't gone through every single one of them, but I'm going to be doing a few more videos. So if you like this one, definitely stay tuned, hit subscribe so you can see the next one's coming up. But like I said, this one's going to be the top 25 groups. And the criteria on this one is looking at the most notable hip hop groups throughout history. We're going to rank the top 25 based on their impact, influence, catalog, and overall contributions to the rap game. So usually that's basically the same criteria that goes into a lot of these. I have already gone through this list. I think for future ones, I'm just going to react to these blind. This is a pretty good list. There's a few in there that I would move around a little bit, but let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so jumping into this one, the very first group that comes up is the Pharcyde. Good choice on this one. I love the Pharcyde. Their first 2 albums I think are incredible. The second one I think is probably a little bit better for me. Lab Cabin California, absolutely love that album. I can definitely see why they would be far back on the list. I'm absolutely happy that they're on the list. Next one on here is Onyx. Again, another one. I was never a huge Onyx fan. I have listened to all their albums. I did like them a little bit when they came out. Definitely see why they're 24. Salt-N-Pepa, of course, legendary female group. I think the ranking on this one is pretty good. The Hieroglyphics, another very good group. If you haven't seen these guys, definitely go check them out. They have a lot of good members in the group. Most notably, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, who I absolutely love. Slum Village coming in at 21. Now, Slum Village is one that I don't have a lot of history on. I have listened to them, but never really got into them too much. So I honestly couldn't give you yay or nay on why this one is ranked where it is. So anybody out there that is a huge Slum Village fan, definitely post in the comments down below. And of course, I am familiar with Jay Dilla coming out of this, so definitely a group to go back through and listen to. I absolutely need to go back through and listen to their catalog more. At number 20 is Black Moon. This is another group that I don't have a lot of familiarity with, so again, I'm going to leave it to you guys in the comments to talk about their ranking. Goodie Mob, absolutely great choice in this one. I probably would have thought they'd be a little bit higher in this list, but for me, Goodie Mob 19, very solid choice. Number 18 is 2 Live Crew. Again, I grew up on 2 Live Crew. I love 2 Live Crew, so definitely happy to see them in the list. This one is probably pretty good ranking for me. Again, later albums didn't really hold up as well as the earlier stuff. I don't think longevity has kind of served the 2 Live Crew well, but definitely influential, huge in the game, not only for the music, but for taking on a lot of the freedom of speech stuff, which if you haven't looked at that stuff, definitely go look at Luther Campbell versus you name it, the state of Florida, the United States government, everything. The stuff that guy did for freedom of speech and albums coming out later is huge. Number 17, Brand Nubian. Again, absolutely love Brand Nubian. Huge fan of these guys ever since they came out. I think the placement on this one is very good. Maybe a place or 2 higher, but absolutely good placement for these guys. Number 16 is Naughty by Nature. Again, huge fan of Naughty by Nature. Again, since they came out, been listening to them ever since. I've listened to their albums numerous times, very familiar with these guys. I might have gone a little bit higher with Naughty by Nature, but again, good placement. Glad they're up near the top of this one. Number 15, the Lox. I am a big fan of the Lox. I don't know that I would have put them above Brand Nubian. I'll probably get a lot of kickback from that one. I know the Lox is huge. I do like the Lox. Jadakiss, Styles P, and of course, my favorite out of the group is Sheek Louch. I honestly wish he would have gotten a better solo career than he did. Absolutely love that guy. Number 14 is Boogie Down Productions, KRS-One. KRS-One is an absolute legend in the game. Boogie Down Productions, another huge group. Love their placement on this one. I think this one is pretty spot on for me. Number 13 is the Fugees. Again, another group I absolutely love. Pross Wyclef, Lauryn Hill, absolutely amazing. I think these guys would probably be higher if they released more albums. We ended up only getting 2 out of these guys. The Score is one of the best albums ever. If you haven't listened to it, I think most people have. And The Score is easily an album that still gets a ton of playtime from me. Number 12 is Cypress Hill. This one is I absolutely love Cypress Hill. They're in my top 5-10 of all time easily. I think the placement on this one is wrong. I love that they're up near the top, but I would have put them much higher than this one, just with everything that they've done in the game, not only for the rap game in general, but what they've done for Latin Americans. These guys have done so much for the culture and the rap genre that I think they deserve a little bit higher placement in this one. Number 11 is 3 6 Mafia. Now this is one, like I said, I've looked at this list before. I would put Cypress Hill above 3 6 Mafia. Again, I think a lot of people would disagree with that one. I love 3 6 Mafia, but I don't think their music catalog and their impact is bigger than Cypress Hill and what they've done. They're not too far back. I would definitely flip those two. But for me, 3 6 Mafia would go probably a couple steps back. Number 10 is the Ghetto Boys. This is another one. I hate to say it, but I would probably move Ghetto Boys back just a little bit. Absolutely love Ghetto Boys, what they've done. Again, listening to these guys since they first came out, Scarface is absolutely incredible. There's no denying his impact. The Ghetto Boys, for me, I don't think that they're album longevity, which if we're going to factor into this one, I don't think their album longevity, and I will say this lightly, their albums are absolutely incredible, but I don't know that they hit that really top notch for me on most of them. Number 9 is Bone Thugs and Harmony. Again, another group. I probably wouldn't put them this high. Absolutely incredible. When their first album came out, I jumped on it quick. Absolutely love these guys. But again, I think this is where a lot of people would really disagree with me. I think a lot of people would just leave them right here. For me, I think they would still go maybe a spot or 2 back. Number 8 is the Beastie Boys. Absolutely agree with this one 100%. I like the placement on this one. Huge Beastie Boys fan, and a lot of people will definitely disagree with this one, especially when it comes to the hip hop community. I've seen a lot of people say that the Beastie Boys, the rhymes don't hold up, the lyrics don't hold up. I would agree in some aspects, but again, what these guys have done for the hip hop game, I mean, coming in right alongside Run DMC, the Beastie Boys for me are absolute legends. One of the things I think they've done really well is not only, I mean, License to Ill is one of the most classic albums to ever come out. That's no denying it. Their albums to come out after that, they really crossed genres, which I think is absolutely incredible. Paul's Boutique is considered one of the best albums ever. Chuck D is on record as saying he absolutely loves that album. If you haven't heard it, definitely, I wouldn't say underappreciated, but I think a lot of people skip over that one just because it came out and it was so different from License to Ill that a lot of people didn't catch on to that one for several years after. Coming in at number 7 is NWA. This one, absolutely top 10 spot again. I would probably move NWA. God, I hate to even say that. Their placement is pretty good. I don't know that I would move it. If it did, it might go 1 or 2 spots back, only because they never released too many albums, which is really unfortunate. Straight Outta Compton, and then For Life came after that one, which For Life for me doesn't really hold up. Again, the production on that one is incredible. Dr. Dre just mastered the entire thing. It's amazing. But as far as like content and lyrics on that one, half of it does not age well at all. Half the songs are absolutely incredible, Appetite for Destruction, but once you get to some of the other songs, it's unbelievably cringy as hell and definitely does not hold up. Number 6 is The Roots. This one placed a lot higher than I probably would have thought going into this one. The Roots are absolutely incredible. So many good albums out of this one, and honestly, I'm glad they put these guys in as high as they did because I think they absolutely deserve it. But they're also a group that I think a lot of lists Timberlake really overlook, especially Black Thought. I mean, as far as an MC, absolutely incredible. He's absolutely top 10, 20. So I'm definitely happy with the placement of these guys. Number 5 coming in, Run DMC. This one's a no-brainer. Run DMC just, I mean, really set everything off for hip hop. Absolutely pillars of the foundation of hip hop. Although I will say some of their later albums definitely fell off a little bit more for me. Their first several albums, absolutely crazy. But for me, Tougher Than Leather goes a little, I don't know, it wasn't up to par as some of the other ones. Back From Hell, Down With The King, Crown Royal, all very good, but not really albums I go back to and listen to a lot. But again, their status in hip hop, you cannot take that away, which is easily while they're in the top 5 for this one. Now, De La Soul coming in at number 4. Again, absolutely love De La Soul. I've been listening to them since they came out. This is probably the biggest one for me, probably the biggest disagreement for me. Again, love De La Soul, but I think their placement is way too high on this one. Some of the groups that they're above, I think their catalog is much better. I think their influence is much better or much bigger. De La Soul for me is absolutely huge. They really set it apart. I mean, coming in with groups like A Tribe Called Quest and other groups like that, they really took a new sound, they really paved the way for some of these other groups that came in, kind of stepping away from some of the sounds that were out at the time, which again, I think is why their impact places them this high. But for me, De La Soul, their first 2 albums, absolutely incredible. De La Soul Is Dead, their second album, is my favorite out of these guys. But I'd say probably their first 4 albums are pretty good. But after the first 2, I definitely don't think they're top tier albums. When we're looking at Balloon Mind State and Stakes Is High, both very good albums. And I've gone through their catalog recently again, since they finally released all their albums. And I think that's why De La Soul is getting so much attention and they're moving up in list recently, is because their albums haven't been available on most streaming websites for, I think it was like 20 years. So they're just now coming back out. People are getting reintroduced to De La Soul, which again, I love, but I think that kind of helps their placement in a list like this. Again, them being in a top 10, fully agree. I think number 4 might be a little high for me. Coming in number 3 is Public Enemy. Public Enemy is easily one of my favorite groups of all time. I still listen to Public Enemy to this day nonstop. They were in my top groups and I'll go ahead and put it up here too. One of the top groups I listened to last year in Spotify. Absolutely love Public Enemy. Their impact is undeniable. Their first several albums, especially their first 4 albums, are all just bangers. Absolutely incredible. They take a little bit of a step down for me after that one, Music and Our Message, and On. Very good albums, but they definitely don't hold up to the same weight that I think the first 4 do. So the placement on this one I think is absolutely perfect. They're always in my top 5 for anything. So them being number 3 on this list I think is absolutely incredible and well deserved. Coming in at number 2 is the Wu-Tang Clan. Again, solid choice on this one. It's easy to see why. When the Wu-Tang Clan hit, they were another group that really changed the way. It changed the direction of hip hop is what it did. And then of course, out of that, you've got 9 members in the Wu-Tang Clan. And then of course, some kind of outside members also. But the main 9 members, every single one of them went on to release incredible albums. Some of them multiple albums. And I will say the only reason I think they're number 2 in this one is, which I'll explain after I get to number 1. So we'll go to number 1 right now. And number 1 is A Tribe Called Quest. Again, Tribe Called Quest, probably one of my top 3, top 5 artists of all time. Absolutely love the placement on this one. I think they're absolutely incredible. And I saw a lot of people talking about this one on Twitter, having Wu-Tang under A Tribe Called Quest. And I absolutely agree with this one. The only reason I would say I agree with this one is, honestly, I think the catalog is just stronger with A Tribe Called Quest. Wu-Tang is absolutely amazing. They both have huge impacts. Again, Q-Tip coming through with his production, going that jazz route when like hardcore gangster rap was kind of out at the time, was a bold step, and it definitely stands the test of time. Midnight Marauders is easily one of my top albums of all time. I would even put it above Low End Theory, which is another absolutely incredible album. But again, Tribe Called Quest album catalog, I think their longevity throughout their releases is a little bit stronger than Wu-Tang. And the only reason I say that is because if you go back and you look at Wu-Tang albums, you're looking at their first three, which are really good. And they definitely step down for those first three. 36 Chambers is absolutely incredible. Forever is a very good album, but it's definitely not as good as 36. And then you get into the W, which again is good, but it's nowhere near Forever. And it's definitely not even close to 36 Chambers. And then, of course, after that, you've got a few Iron Flag. You've got a few others after that one that definitely have some solid songs on there, but they definitely don't have the replayability that the first three do at all, which is why I would absolutely still keep A Tribe Called Quest at the #1 spot on this one. But again, I could be wrong. A lot of this is personal opinion. I do think this is a very good list, and I'm going to go back through and there's a bunch of lists on this website, beatsrhymeslist.com, and it's actually hyphenated in between all those. So it's beats-rhymes-lists.com. Definitely check them out. If you agree or disagree with any of the placement of these, please let me know in the comment section down below. Hit subscribe, and we'll see you on the next list.